One of the key lessons we can learn from empires that existed in history is that they all started very small. So initially, they will start by conquering small, unprotected areas, then they capture more territories to get bigger. That is a lesson I want you to learn as an early stage tech founder that is building an amazing AI and data product. Your goal should be you start very small, go to a minimum viable segment that is uncontested, an area where you have deep industry knowledge and you can avoid direct competition. So you establish yourself as a leader, then expand outwardly to adjacent markets concentrically. That strategy is the whole goal of this article titled The Concentric Ring Go to Market and Growth Framework for Early Stage AI and Data Companies. By reading through this article, you will learn the following: which market segment to start first with your AI and data solution, and how to expand in that market to capture more market shares. Choosing your starting market. One of the most common mistakes I've seen with tech founders, especially early stage tech founders, is they are trying to serve a broader market. And the reason is, yeah, you think, okay, if I can serve a broader market, there's a higher chance that, or higher probability I can land a deal. But unfortunately, that is not usually the case. Also, some tech founders, they kind of ask themselves, or they feel like their company, their early stage company, is a smaller version of a big corporation. So they will ask themselves, okay, if a company like Google, Microsoft, WC, Facebook, for example, they are already targeting the market, why should I limit myself? Unfortunately, what you fail to understand is those companies didn't start that way. They all started with a specialized market, and I'm going to show you examples. So, how do you choose a starting market? The secret is the secret is always start from an industry or a market where you do have industry knowledge, or you have the domain knowledge. And one way to always do that is, okay, maybe you have served that industry through work experience or through academic knowledge. This is very important because at the start, when you're serving your customers, yeah, you might understand the problem, but unfortunately, most customers don't even know how to solve the problem. So it's your responsibility to think in the shoes of the customers and ask yourself, okay, what are the possible solutions I can bring forth to my customers to help them solve the problem? So that is why you need to have domain knowledge, because you will need to think in the shoes of your customers. So my question for you is, which area do you think you have expert knowledge? The next thing is how to choose a minimum viable segment. So we have all agreed that starting broad will always lead to disaster. And when you're starting broad, that is very expensive in your marketing and sales strategy. So it's very important to choose a minimum viable segment. So how do you choose a minimum viable segment? So the whole goal is to start very small, avoid competition, and become a monopoly in that niche. Let me give you some few case studies so that this idea of choosing a minimum viable segment should be your strategy at the beginning. Take, for example, PayPal. We all use PayPal today, right? You and I are using PayPal. But at the beginning, you need to understand that PayPal started focusing on power sellers on eBay. This is very important. They did not even start with all sellers on eBay. They started with power sellers on eBay. Another example that is very common is Amazon. Amazon today, you can go to Amazon and you buy anything. I think Amazon is considered as the largest e-commerce site in the world. But Amazon started by only focusing on booksellers. This is something very important. They started only focusing on booksellers, and today they are everywhere. Another good example is Airbnb. Airbnb, you and I, when going for vacation, we can, book an Airbnb or an apartment in our in the for vacation. But what you need to understand is Airbnb started by serving conference organizers in New York. Then Facebook, almost everyone is on Facebook today, but they also started with serving Harvard students. So these examples should say something very important to you. There is no way you can start in a very large market and you win the race. So it is very important you choose a minimum viable segment. Now, from that industry that you have a very good knowledge, there can be possible minimum viable segment that you can choose from. So this is a criteria, 5 point criteria you can use to choose the minimum segment that you can start from. So that includes stuff like accessibility. You should be able to choose a niche that you have access to, whether be it online or offline, to reduce entry friction. Also, choose a segment where there's high return on investment. You want to start with a segment that is obviously high ticket, that can give you maximum return on your investment with few clients. Purchase power. You also want to choose a segment where the customers in those segments do have the money to buy your solution. Domain expertise. We already said even before coming up with possible segments, you should have industry knowledge in all of those segments. And time to results. Choose a segment where you can deliver results as fast as possible. This is very, very important. Now, I'm not saying that when you start with a segment, you're going to end there. You also, what you do is when you start with that segment and you dominate that segment, then you move to other segments. And the strategy to move to other segment is to expand in concentric rings. Expanding in concentric rings means that you start from one segment and you expand to adjacent segments. Looking at this illustration, let's say you have chosen market one. So market one, first of all, is the market you have chosen based on the domain. Then you have your segment. So S1 is your minimum viable segment. So when you dominate that minimum viable segment, S1, you now move to the adjacent segment that is above that minimum viable segment. And next you move to the next and so on and so forth. If I take for example the Facebook case, so their S1 was students in Harvard, then S2 they move to other let's say Ivy League universities, so universities that are of the same status as Harvard University. From there they move to all the universities in the US. From all the universities in the US, they started expanding to other, to like to you and I. So that is how you should start. The whole goal about concentric ring is start small and you expand concentrically. In this article, the one key message I want you to take home is the superpower of being focused. This is a paradox because you see, the most successful companies that we see today, they all started by being very, very focused. And also, when you start being focused, as an early stage AI and data company, one of your asset is, you have limited resources, so you need to use that limited resources, which is money, in order to target a minimum viable segment, so that you gain leadership, get the money to be able to go and conquer the next segment. And what you also need to understand is, I know you're technical for it, so you're technical. I know you understand this formula as, the more you apply pressure the more you apply pressure in the market, that's how you get value from that market. So we know that pressure is equal to force over area. The force you have is fixed. The force in this case is maybe your access to money, the money you have in the bank. So there's no way you can, you have that variable is fixed. The only way you can apply more pressure in the market is by reducing your area, because the pressure is inversely proportional to the area, which means that the more your market is very, very small, the more you can apply pressure in a specific market. Then when you apply that, when you get more money, which means that you have more force, then you keep adding your market. So that is what I really wanted you to learn in this article. The whole goal is you need to start very small, start in an area where you have domain knowledge and you expand in concentric rings. So what you have learned in this article is just one of the four key laws you need to learn about to grow your AI, to grow your early stage AI and data company. If you really want to learn more, I have put in the video description a link to a free copy of my report titled "The AI and Data Business Innovation and Growth Marketing Framework." By going deep into this framework, you will learn the other four key laws that you need to grow your early stage AI and data to grow your early stage AI and data company. Also, I'm going to put the link to the full article in the video description. This article is found on LinkedIn, so you can go to LinkedIn and definitely continue reading this article. Thank you.